You know the vibes. Welcome to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K24. Ladies and gentlemen, the NBA playoffs are finally here. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Scott Perry is also here joining me today on the show. How you doing, sir?
Oh man, I'm doing great. First day of the playoffs mode. Some good basketball today.
Man, I woke up smiling today. I don't often wake up smiling. I'm very sleep deprived. I usually wake up in a bad mood. But today I woke up, I jumped out of bed. I said the playoffs are here.
I saw your Instagram post. Your energy was unbelievable. I said, "Look at Mo.
You see
Look
it.
at my man Mo.
You see it. You see
exactly.
it. Well,
I see you. I see you.
well, the NBA playoffs started off with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Orlando Magic in a series that I think a lot of people are sleeping on. I really liked this game because there was a lot of defense. A lot of fans I've seen online were complaining. They're like, this is horrible to watch. Da, da, da. It was a really fun game for me, especially on the defensive side of the basketball. Yes. Now, Cleveland won that one 97-83. They were led by Donovan Mitchell, who had a fantastic performance. And if Donovan Mitchell plays like this, it's going to be very hard to contain him. And I texted my guy, Chris Thomas, NBA trainer. I don't know if you know him, but BJ knows him. He's been on the show before. And, because some of the guys he trains were playing in this matchup. I won't say who, but some of the guys he trained. So I said, what are you thinking? And he said, if Donovan Mitchell was willing to pass the basketball like this, he only ended up with 3 assists, but they were moving that rock. And if he's willing to be a playmaker like that, Orlando's in trouble. What were your main takeaways from this game?
That's an excellent point that your friend made, though. When Donovan, because look, he can score the basketball, but when he's a threat to distribute that ball and get others involved, that makes it even tougher to defend him. So that was big. But the main takeaway really was from the Orlando side. This was their first playoff series, a super young team that had a tremendous year. And you could tell that there was some nervousness and jitters early in the game. But I was impressed how they kind of fought through that. And to your point, they defended. And they really scrapped throughout the game to keep it close. They just didn't shoot the basketball well, and that's really been their Achilles heel the entire season. The guards really struggled shooting the basketball, both Jalen Suggs and Gary Harris. But I like, pointing to the, game 2, I think they can take some positives from this game if you're the Orlando Magic, because, again, they played gritty defense that kept them close in the game. Now, relax a little bit, make some of those open shots. And I think this is going to be a little bit of a more of a tighter series than what people realize.
Yeah, well, the Orlando Magic shot 8 of 37. That's 21.6%. But the Cavaliers also struggled from downtown. They started the game lights out from 3, but they ended up only going 8 from 30. That's 26.7% from behind the arc. And the positive for the Orlando Magic, they forced Cleveland into 17 turnovers, which is, as it pertains to their, gritty defense, as you just pointed out. But for the Magic, a lot of people are criticizing Paolo Banchero. He had 9 turnovers in this game. Now, he's a very young player. It's his first ever playoff game. These things are going to happen. And everyone's holding him up to this standard that he should be a superstar. This is a learning experience as much as it is the NBA playoffs. This is the first ever game. And I have no doubt that, I highly doubt that he's going to have 9 turnovers again in game 2.
I watched the interview prior to the game. I don't know if you got a chance to see that. And he openly admitted to say, hey, the energy in this building is awesome. It's our first playoff series. There's going to be a little bit of nervousness that we got to work through. So there go to 9 turnovers in your first game. To your point now, that has to come down some. I expect it to come down. It's like anything else. You have to experience the playoff atmosphere at least one time to really understand what it's going to be like. And so I think they'll be better prepared in terms of controlling their emotions for game 2.
The Cavs won the rebounding battle by 14 rebounds. Does that concern you moving forwards? Because the Cavs have, in terms of their bigs, Mobley and Allen down there in the paint. The Magic, they started with Jonathan Isaac today. And then Franz and Paolo aren't particularly strong rebounders. They both finished with 7 each, but they're not notorious for grabbing boards. Jonathan Isaac played almost 30 minutes, got 5 boards. Does the lack of rebounding on the offensive glass, in particular for the Orlando Magic, concern you at all?
definitely concerns me, Mo, because when you lose the rebounding battle, what that tells me, you're being limited to one shot when you're on offense, and sometimes you're giving up additional shots on the defensive on your defensive side, allowing the Cleveland Cavaliers to get more attempts at the basket. That is critical in playoff basketball. You know, going back to last year when I was in New York, we played this Cleveland Cavaliers team, and one of the big reasons why we were able to beat them was because we were dominant on the boards. So anytime I see a team get dominated on the boards, I think Cleveland understands that. They went into the offseason knowing they had to fix that part. Let's see if this was a one-off thing or if this is going to be consistent throughout the series. Because if it's consistent throughout the series, then it will be a shorter series than what I thought.
Well, as you mentioned, your Knicks beat this Cavs team last season, and the Cavs, Jarrett Allen was famous for saying the lights were too bright in that series. How much of a motivating factor do you think that is coming into the playoffs this year for this Cavaliers squad? Because they made a point of emphasis to say that in their practices leading up to the playoffs, they were putting a big importance on the physicality of the game because they didn't show that toughness last year.
Well, I think that's a huge motivating factor. When you go into the offseason and you've lost and you're not the last team standing with the championship trophy, there's a game or a series that's going to stick with you throughout the summer. And you go into that summer figuring out how are you going to correct that, how are you going to be better if you get back in that situation again. And that's what the Cavaliers are doing. They're taking, going out here today and getting 14, winning the rebound battle by 14 lets me know that that's been on their mind. I've watched this team throughout the season. They've played more aggressive than they did last year. They're trying to put that noise behind them, and they understand that's what cost them last year. And if they're going to get beat this year, they're saying that's not going to be what beats us, our lack of assertiveness on the glass.
Well, speaking of rebounding, though, the Phoenix Suns got absolutely destroyed on the boards by the Minnesota Timberwolves. And this goes to what we were saying in the other game as well. The Minnesota Timberwolves grabbed 52 rebounds in this matchup that they won 120-95. Now, I know that's not the biggest talking point. We're going to talk about Anthony Edwards and the rest of it in a sec. But those 13 offensive rebounds in comparison to just 3 for the Phoenix Suns, it goes down to what we were saying about the Cavs and Orlando matchup. The size, outside of Yusuf Nurkic, they don't really have much size. Kevin Durant's a tall player, but he plays as a perimeter player. He's not there grabbing boards. Whereas having Gobert and Towns and then having Nasri come off your bench, that really helps on the rebounding battle. But, Scott, Anthony Edwards in this game, I think this one was personal for him because Bradley Beal said in the last game that they played, the regular season matchup, after the Suns won all 3 regular season matchups, he says that Bradley Beal told him that they don't play hard enough, the Timberwolves. And this one seemed a little personal. He finished with 33 points to lead the Timberwolves to the win. What do you see from this young man and just how much of a superstar he is now, asserting himself as going up against Devin Booker, asserting himself as the best shooting guard in the league?
And Mo, let's not forget his 9 rebounds and 6 assists that he had as well, too.
And some steals.
Measure. This young man is special. What he's showing you is there's no moment too big for him. I watched this game, and they tried to put a little bit of everybody on him. And when he really got going, they had 7-foot Kevin Durant on him to take the challenge. And that's when he really broke the game open. And what was so impressive about it, a lot of times when you see a player start to get hot, especially a number of the younger players today, they will tend to force things in the midst of that hot shooting streak sometimes when people, doubles, triples start coming, double teams and triple teams start coming at them. What Anthony Edwards did, he kept sprinkling in the right play. And that was impressive to me.
And it's been a criticism of his. His passing ability has been a weak spot in his game previously.
Yes, but that today I was very impressed. And he made some of the simple passes. They didn't have to be the great pass, but some of the simple passes. So it was a very efficient 33 points. He made a statement today. He made a statement not only to the Suns, but I think to the entire league that no, I'm Anthony Edwards. I'm ready to carry this team, this Minnesota team, deep into the playoffs, and I'm gonna be excited to watch him for the rest of the rest of this series and throughout this deep playoff run that I think they're capable of making.
And it wasn't just Anthony Edwards, though, because
No,
aside from 14 points from Royce O'Neal, the Suns got nothing from their bench. Whereas the Timberwolves had Naz Reid come off the bench, finish with 12 points, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 18 points in what was a superb performance, 4 of 9 from downtown, grabbed a few boards, was wreaking havoc on the defensive end with 4 steals as well. He was absolutely sensational today. I think he's found a great fit for himself. You know, he's been around a few teams now. I think he's found a great fit for himself here in Minnesota. But just how big was that impact in the kill?
Mo, you bring up. I'm glad you brought this up because you bring up a great point. And sometimes I get pushback when I take the focus off of star players.
That's because you work for ESPN, Scott.
Exactly.
This is the Hoop Genius podcast,
Exactly.
owned and operated by the Hoop Genius family, which includes you. So we're going to talk about everyone here.
Exactly. No, but what I've been a part of in my career, especially the days going back to Detroit, we always talked about the importance of depth and getting solid, consistent contributions from your bench. It is vitally important if you're going to be a team that can make a deep run. Of course, your stars have to play well, but without the contributions of Walker and Naz Reid today, game's a lot closer. Maybe you don't even pull it out. And I think when you look at all of these games that were played today, there was a player or players from the winning team that either were maybe the fourth or the fifth option as a starter or bench players that played a huge role in helping teams win the game. So that is a formula to becoming a championship team, is having very good bench play. And that was great to see from Minnesota.
And those two guys I mentioned, Naz Reid and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, they're going to be huge in this series for a couple of reasons. Mike Conley, as much as I love Mike Conley, hands down, all professional guy, and always produces at a high level. His teams always seems to be in the playoffs. But for this series, he's lacking in size because the Suns are playing, Devin Booker at the point guard position and Bradley Beal at the other guard position. He doesn't really have the size. So to have an athlete like Nickeil Alexander-Walker coming off the bench is a huge bonus. And similarly, with Karl-Anthony Towns having to guard Kevin Durant in certain places of the game, that's not an ideal defensive matchup. But having Naz Reid come in, who might be a little bit better in that role, that's also huge. So credit to the Timberwolves for building out the depth of their squad to be able to, because we also talk about it's about the matchups in the playoffs. It's all about the matchups.
Yeah, great point. No question about that. And we a lot of times focus on the offensive production. But these guys we're talking about, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, very good defender, and versatile defender. He can guard one, twos, and a few threes. You talk about Naz Reid being able to guard 3 through 5. And then let's not forget about Kyle Anderson, who is coming off the bench for this team, a lot of experience, another very versatile defender. So that really helps your cause when you go to your bench and you're adding some offensive output to go along with some great defensive energy and effort. Man, that makes your team pretty good there.
Yeah,
I would say.
And Kyle Anderson only got 5 minutes of run. He went back to the locker room with a hip injury in the second quarter. So we're going to see if he's going to be available for game 2. But a fantastic win for the Timberwolves here in this one. But now the one that everyone's been waiting, the one that had us on the edge of our seats right up until the very end. Your New York Knicks. And I was watching this game, and down the stretch, Mitchell Robinson was at the line. And I wish we had a camera on Scott's reaction to Mitchell Robinson knocking down 2 clutch free throws as they pulled out a 111-104 win against the Philadelphia 76ers. Scott, take it away. What do you see from the team that you basically assembled, the New York Knicks?
The Knicks played like I expected them to play. They're going to play hard every possession. They're going to defend to the very last second on the clock. The energy in the Garden was unbelievable. It was palpable coming through my television set. Hopefully you felt the same over there in London.
It was exactly. Rocking. It was rocking. It was rocking.
Yeah, so I haven't been there in that environment, that situation. I could place myself there. But it was really great to see. It was a great game back and forth. But what I really liked from the Knicks today was Jalen Brunson struggled. Did not have what we've come to know a Jalen Brunson type game. I think he was
8 of
8 for
26.
26 today.
1 of
And the
6 from
Knicks
downtown as well.
Yes, and Knicks still figured out a way to win. And how did they do that? We're going to go back to the bench again. Miles McBride has. I am so happy for that young man. All of the hard work that he's put in his first few years in the league have paid off, and to come in really his first major playoff minutes, first game, and do what he did today, he was crucial for them because they were down 13, allowing the Knicks to get back in and catch up, gain a lead. And then you mentioned my boy, Mitchell Robinson. And obviously I have a special place in my heart for that young man, just to watch him perform. I'm glad he's back healthy, but he is the one and one of the few guys in the league that can physically match up with Joel Embiid. He's close to his size. He's strong. He's athletic. He's unafraid. He's got good hands and feet. So he makes Joel work very hard on the offensive end to score. And then on the defensive end, Mitchell's the best offensive rebounder in the league. I think he had 7 offensive rebounds today. So it's hard for Joel to get a body on him. And Mitch gets this Knicks team so many extra possessions. He and Josh Hart, they did a terrific job on the offensive glass. And then Mitch goes to the line, hits those 2-3 free throws today to close it out. Because I think everybody in the garden was holding their breath.
Oh man,
hoping for one.
Well, even the commentators said it's a great idea to foul Mitchell Robinson, and he must have heard that because he took that personally.
And I think Mike Green was on the game, who does all of the Knicks games anyway, so he's watched Mitch many times. But Mitch, there have been times, when I was there, and I see it, now. He can make them when he just goes up there and relaxes. And it was just good to see it. And hopefully he will continue to do that throughout the rest of their playoff run.
Well, he was in the gym till late the night before the game working on those free throws. I saw a video from his trainer. Josh Hart, though, he's just a player that everyone wants on their team. For an undersized guy like him to come up with 13 boards. Again, in this game, the winning team, 55 rebounds to 33 rebounds. That's just a key point of emphasis here in the playoffs when the game slowed down. Generating those extra possessions for any of you guys who are newer and you're wondering why I keep talking about rebounding. If you win the rebounding battle, you tend to win the game in the playoffs because you're just getting more shots up, more possessions, keep the ball alive. Josh Hart, 4 offensive rebounds. Isaiah Hartenstein, great on the balls, 5 offensive rebounds. But the 3-pointers he hit down the stretch, especially because he was pretty cold going into it, and he's throwing up these threes, and everyone's thinking, no, yes, when he hits them. So Josh Hart had an amazing contribution. OG Anunoby as well. My boy did his thing. He hit a huge shot down the stretch, and defensively, he did some great work as well, especially when he gets switched on to Embiid. But I want to talk about the Sixers side of things. Because
one point I just want to make about Josh. 2 words: heart and hustle. That's
why you traded for him.
Yes, exactly. That's heart and hustle. That guy, he's gonna leave it all out on the floor. So you can never argue with that. And those threes that he made, again, that goes to the heart we're talking about, because it's obvious the Sixers, their game plan was to let him have those threes. Nobody even ran at him when they ran at him the very last one, but for the most part, throughout the game, you could tell they were like, okay, that's Josh Hart out there. We're going to let him shoot those threes. And those are difficult shots to make when the other team is basically saying to you, oh, you can't make that. And he's able to block it out and make those shots. So kudos to him.
And he's definitely a fan favorite now. He got the New York symbol braided into his hair as well before the game. But let's talk about the Sixers, because I want to get your general manager perspective on this, because when you build a team around a superstar, it's fantastic. But when that superstar's not on the court, it's less than fantastic. Today, the Sixers with Joel Embiid in their 36 minutes were plus 14. In the 12 minutes they were without him, they were minus 21. What can the Sixers do? Because there is no way he can play 48 minutes, especially with the injuries. We saw him throw a self alley-oop and then come down and he was hurt. First of all, if you're coming back from an injury. That's an outrageous play. I respect the confidence of Embiid to try a self alley-oop coming off of an injury. Went back to the locker room and came back out. He ended up playing 36 minutes, finished with 29 points, as you expect from Joel Embiid. But what can they do in this series to win the minutes without Embiid out there on the court? Because we know that Tibbs is going to go hard with his stars. They're playing 40 plus minutes. Brunson,
Yeah.
he'll be lucky to catch a rest throughout the rest of the series. What can Nick Nurse do in order to kind of alleviate that pressure on Joel when he comes back onto the court?
They're going to need to do what they did in the play-in game, I'm sorry, this past Wednesday. They're going to need Nicholas Batum.
He finished with just 3 points tonight.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. A Tobias Harris or Kelly Oubre to have 20 plus points.
Well,
to help to take some of the burden off those minutes that Joel is not playing. So if you're the coach, you got to figure out during those times, who are we going to instill that confidence in to help us offensively? Now, I know Tyrese Maxey ended up with a big scoring day with 33 points.
And Kyle Lowry had 18 as well.
Yeah, but they didn't feel as, it seems they scored a lot of their points when Joel was in the game. When he's not in the game, to your point, you've got to be able to, and I know they try to do it through Tyrese Maxey when Joel is out, but you got to get someone else that you can.
The defense is going to throw doubles at Maxey.
Maybe
shooters.
Hey, maybe Buddy Hield,
0 points tonight.
11 minutes. Exactly. So they're going to have to get production from a number of people to have a chance, I think, to win this series. And so we'll see what kind of adjustments they make in relation to that for game 2 on Monday.
And also for the Knicks, shout out to Bogdanovic as well, Bojan Bogdanovic, because a couple of the threes that he hit were extremely timely. Because there was a time where it looked like the Sixers were getting away with the lead. He came in, knocked down some huge shots.
Look, I see he played 25 minutes today, and I think that's what he should be playing at least. People tend to forget. This guy was a starter on playoff teams in Utah. Mm-hmm. He was a starter on a playoff team with the Brooklyn Nets. This guy is experienced. He can shoot. He has size. And it was good to see that Tibbs left him out there for those 25 minutes today. But I think he's going to need that type of minute allocation so that he can get a good rhythm in these playoff series, because they're going to need him in a number of these games as they move forward.
Well, Scott, as you know, for the past 12 months now, I've been saying Denver going back to back. They just played game 1 against the Lakers, a 114-103 win. Are you more confident in my prediction now after watching that game 1? Because up until halftime, the Lakers looked in control of that game.
Got to give Lakers credit. They came out with the type of focus approach. They controlled the tempo of the game. They came to win that basketball game today with no doubt. And they put aside all that, we're 0-8 against the Nuggets, the last 8 times we played them. They were in position to win. But what your Nuggets showed me, Mom.
That's going to come back to bite me when they beat Boston in the final.
Exactly. But when they got into that third quarter, and they see that they're a team that figures out puzzles. Because I thought in the first half the Lakers did a good job. You had Hachimura, trying to front Jokic. They were throwing a lot of different AD on him. A lot of different people and schemes. And he's seen them. Don't get me wrong. And the other guys on the team weren't really rolling yet. Michael Porter wasn't really into it heavy yet, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. My man Aaron Gordon.
Well, this is what I was going to say. But this is what I was going to say. I think the reason why the Lakers were so good in the first half is Gordon picked up 2 early fouls.
Yes.
So he went to the bench. He finished the game with 2 fouls. So Aaron Gordon may be the most important player in this series, because athletically and defensively, especially against a player like LeBron James, you can never stop LeBron James, but it sure as hell helps to have Aaron Gordon out there trying to slow him down. And I think that was the biggest reason for me that the Lakers got going in that first half without Aaron Gordon out there. And then Mike Malone did something that really impressed me. Michael Porter Jr., as you just mentioned, really struggled to start this game. So what did he do? He called a timeout and drew up a play to get Michael Porter an open three to get his rhythm going. And what Michael Porter did after that is that sparked him into crashing the offensive glass, crashing the defensive glass, getting boards, making hustle plays, making plays for his teammates. And for a player like him, who's a natural scorer, he's not really a guy like Josh Hart or OG who's going to do the dirty work, or an Aaron Gordon. He's a scorer. But just getting him that one bucket right there, then he went and got a couple putbacks. Then he went, he started making plays for his teammates. And that really got him going. And that's high-level coaching from Mike Malone.
I was just getting ready to say, you took the words out of my mouth. You love to see that from coaches, because when they understand their players are good.
KYP.
These guys have been together.
Let them know, Scott. KYP.
Exactly. And know your personnel. That's right. But it is so important. And they've been together now a few years. They've won a championship together. And he knows he's going to need Michael Porter. And he probably could look at Michael Porter's face and say, oh, we might be losing him today. Let me get him back re-engaged.
And it's been a tough week for Michael Porter. His brother went to jail. His other brother got banned from the NBA. I thought he wasn't going to make a shot tonight.
Yes. Yeah. No, he's dealing with a lot off the court. And I thought about that, going into this game for him. But give him credit, too, for, answering the call and being receptive and responsive to the Mike Malone, recognizing that I needed to help my player, get into this game, and Michael definitely responded.
And for Mike Malone, it's such a luxury that when you're in a situation where you need a bucket, there was a situation where the Lakers had cut the lead late in the game down to single digits. You go to the Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic pick and roll. Either you're getting a bucket from Jamal, you're getting a bucket from Jokic, or more likely, Jokic is throwing the lob for Aaron Gordon. And he threw one of them. And this is the point I knew the Lakers had lost the game. He threw the lob. Aaron Gordon finished it with a dunk. And LeBron James just put his hands up, just like, not again. Where's the weak side defender rotating from? And, LeBron had a great game, 27 points. He hit a crazy shot from the logo with like 0.3 left before halftime. Anthony Davis had a fantastic game as well. 14 boards, 32 points. But the rest of the guys on the Lakers, D'Angelo Russell, 6 of 20 from the field, 1 of 9 from downtown. Austin Reeves, 2 of 6 from downtown. The rest of the guys kind of struggled a little bit in terms of the role players.
Mo, I was talking to someone yesterday and told them for the Lakers to have any chance at this series, they were going to need consistent shooting performances from both Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. Neither showed up in that capacity today. Without that, they're not going to be able to win and sustain, because Denver's going to make runs. If they were making shots, they would have been able to sustain that run a little better today and maybe even stole game one. But boy, did they really struggle. And you could tell LeBron was getting a little bit frustrated with a couple of the lazy passes that
especially because it was almost like they were matching LeBron and Jokic's minutes. There were a lot of times when you'd see Jokic get off the bench and come to the scorer's table, and Darvin Ham, who was resting LeBron at the time, would look at LeBron and say, get up here, you're going into the game. So in those non-LeBron minutes or the non-Jokic minutes, that's when you really have to make your run, because the weakness for Denver throughout the last number of regular season is the minutes where Jokic isn't in the game. Now, the counter for that, I don't know if Darvin Ham's going to be able to, because when Jokic is on the court, you need LeBron out there as well. So I don't know if LeBron at this point is going to be able to play that many minutes, even though he played 40 tonight. But the rest of the guys have to find a way to win the non-Jokic minutes. And that's the only way you're going to beat the Denver Nuggets. And similarly for the Lakers, when LeBron goes off the court, it's like they're a different team. They're just not producing at that level. It's like what we spoke about with Embiid on the Sixers.
But what we have been seeing the final month was D'Angelo Russell stepping up in those moments. This was an opportunity for him to do it. He didn't do it today. Hopefully for Lakers Nation, he can do that in game 2. Same with Austin Reeves. Those guys have to play better. And then Anthony Davis and LeBron James have to play at the level they played at today to give them a chance.
Yep.
Give them a chance to beat Denver.
And Jamal Murray always elevates his game for the playoffs. There was a play early on in the first quarter where the Lakers were building up a bit of a lead to start the game. He just put the afterburners on, went straight to the bucket, blew past LeBron James, and threw down a dunk, which got the crowd involved in the game as well. And in the playoffs, those kind of momentum plays are really what can stop an opponent's run, get your team back firing. Everyone, the crowd's going crazy. Everyone comes back now. You're super locked in on defense. You can get back into the game. So that was fantastic. But what I want to ask you, Scott, your prediction for this series, who and in how many games?
Well, I got the Nuggets winning this series. I know it sounds like I'm coming in late. I know you and BJ
Yeah,
did
we
this
did this
yesterday,
yesterday.
I've got a 1 game head start on picking them. But no, I think the Nuggets are going to take this in 5.
Mhm. And then Philly, New York. We should have done this as we went along. That's my bad. Philly,
Yes.
New York.
Oh
Who you
no,
got? How many games?
I've got the Knicks in 6.
Yes. Well, I said Knicks in 7 because I want to see Madison Square for a game 7.
Exactly.
I want to see that. I need to see that. But like I said to BJ yesterday, the Knicks have already basically lifted a banner in Philly because they've got the Villanova team playing for them. So the Suns and the Timberwolves, because BJ picked the Suns and I picked the Timberwolves. So you got to decide.
No. I was gonna go with if I had been on with you guys yesterday, I was gonna go with the Timberwolves because defense travels. They're the #1 defensive team throughout the year. So that is my leaning all the time. I'm gonna say Minnesota in 6.
Were you lucky you went on with us yesterday because we started taping at 5:30. No, was it 5:30? Yeah, 5:30 in the UK. And then Drake dropped his diss track for Kendrick Lamar, and BJ decided he wanted to debate hip hop with me for about an hour. So we didn't start taping until 6:30 UK. So we didn't get done till 7:30 UK, which would have been like 2:30 your time. So you lucky you missed yesterday's episode.
I like that.
But Cleveland, Orlando, who you got winning that series?
I'm gonna go with the Cavaliers. They've got a little more experience. This is Orlando's first time at it. And I'm gonna give the Cavaliers, I think they win it in, let's say, 5.
Okay. And then the other 4 games that happen later today from when you guys listen to this start with the Celtics and the Miami Heat, who are without Jimmy Butler for this one. Who you got winning that series and in how many games?
Mo, you know I gotta roll with you, Mo, and the Celtics.
Come on.
You know,
if you getting the brooms out for this one, though, what we saying?
No, I'm not. I know Miami is without Jimmy Butler, but let's remember, this is the 3rd time in 3 years that these teams have met in the playoffs. 2022, Boston wins in 7. 2023, last year, Miami wins in 7.
I'm more afraid of Eric Spoelstra than any player.
Yeah, I was getting. I'm going to Spoelstra. You know what I feel about Eric Spoelstra and Heat culture and how prepared they're going to be. You've heard me talk about them not beating themselves, and I just think it's such a prideful group and organization. They will figure out to win at least one of those games. So I'm going to go Celtics in 5.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that Eric Spoelstra could put me out there on the court and find a way to come up with something. Dallas and the Clippers. We spoke about this a bunch of times throughout the season. It's like it was destined to happen. Their third matchup, but a very different Dallas team, a very different Clippers team now with James Harden and Russell Westbrook. This one is what we said yesterday, dependent on Kawhi Leonard's health. And Adrian Wojnarowski, your colleague at ESPN, said that he is very questionable to play in game 1. So how does that impact your decision? And would it change if he was fully healthy?
It definitely impacts my decision. But I'm going to go with the Dallas Mavericks. Here's why. Luka Doncic has played like the MVP the entire season. This team has been playing more consistent and a better team brand of basketball this past month of the season. So I like teams entering into the playoffs with some type of rhythm and flow together. Since the trade deadline, this team has gotten better defensively. The pieces they add, Daniel Gafford has really helped on the interior, helped the young kid Derek Lively up front. So now they've got quality rim protection. PJ Washington gives them another versatile defender on the front line. So I like where this team is at, and I like Luka's ability to take over these games. And I'm a big Kawhi Leonard fan. Don't get me wrong, and I think that he will make this a tough series if he's available. But him being questionable like that makes you wonder what he's going to be like for the entire series. Is he going to be in and out the entire series? Now you're disrupting the rhythm of the entire team. So I'm going to stick with my pick and go with the. But this one may go a little while. This
I
one may
picked
go
Mavs in
7.
seven.
This
I
may
picked
be
Mavs in
7. Mavs
seven.
is 7.
So
I
the
was going to
Clippers
say
can have their sad farewell to the Staples Center before they go to their new arena. Paul
yes.
George can say farewell to his Clippers teammates before he goes to Philly in the summer, but that's a whole nother conversation. Who
Yeah.
you got? Indiana and Milwaukee. A little rivalry going on here in the Eastern Conference. No Giannis for game one. We don't know when he's going to be back.
Boy, Mo, old habits die hard, and you know where I've been with this Bucks team the entire year. And I know,
There was a glimmer of hope. I remember you and B both put them in your top 5 one week, and I said you guys are
no
tripping.
question. And I just did the last, I think was it the last 1 or 2 rankings I took them out, but I'm going with them anyway. I'm going with the Bucks to upset.
There's not an upset. They're the 3 seed.
Yeah, they're the 3 seed, but
they got
without Giannis, I'm calling the upset. But look, the team has not been playing well. We know that. We don't need to keep beating that issue in the ground. But playoffs are here, an opportunity to clear your heads, fresh start. Dame Lillard has an opportunity. He wanted to come. He wanted to get out of Portland. So I think it's going to be incumbent upon him to really show up and play. They've got much more experience on their side than the Pacers do. They've got champions over there, the Bobby Portises and Chris Middletons and Brook Lopez.
Yep.
Those guys. So they've got some championship pedigree. They've got a coach that's won a championship. I know Indiana does, and Rick Carlisle as well. But I just think that they will figure out a way how to win the series, even though Indiana had won the regular season series. But I just think playoff basketball, the way it's played, it's going to be a little bit slower.
We referenced that on yesterday's show that they've dominated them in a regular season, but it got me thinking about them. And those regular season games were before the Siakam trade. And more importantly, maybe not more importantly, but it was before they lost Buddy Hield. And it's been harder for them to generate good looks for Tyrese Halliburton without Buddy Hield there to space the floor. So I'm going to be interested to see what that does and just how much they try and get Dame Lillard switched on to Tyrese Halliburton for Halliburton to take advantage of that matchup. But the final one.
And how much can they, one last thing, and how much can they get in the open court?
Yeah.
See, Indiana's been in the open court all season long. How much does, how does Milwaukee?
No Giannis being there helps them because there's going to be less shot attempts at the rim, less made field goals because Giannis shoots like 63%, 70% at the rim. And it's going to be a lot more long range attempts, is what BJ said yesterday, especially with Dame getting more shot attempts. So long rebounds, they're going to be able to get out on the floor. And we're going to see how it goes because it should be one of the more interesting series for me. And I really hope that it's a big series for Obi Toppin out there on the fast break, and he can take advantage of some of those. But the final one, New Orleans versus Oklahoma City, the 1-8 matchup. Now, if Zion was healthy, I would have picked the Pelicans, but I picked the OKC Thunder. I think there can't really be much debate on that. Or do you see a way that New Orleans can win this one?
No debate for me. Without Zion, I do not see New Orleans being able to beat the Thunder. And the main reason is the point guard position. There's a real decided advantage here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, another guy who's played at an MVP level the entire season at the point guard position. When I look at the Pelicans team, I do not see a true point guard for sure in their starting 5. Alvarado comes off the bench as a backup point guard, but point guard is a position of need, I still think, for that New Orleans Pelicans franchise. And without one in a playoff series, 7-game series, I've just heavily favored the Thunder. I know they're young, they're the youngest team, but been impressed with Chet Holmgren, been impressed with Jalen Williams, how they have really molded into very reliable second and third options. So definitely see them winning, and I'm going to say they win the series in 6.
Yeah, they're a young team, but Shai Alexander is only like 3 or 4 months younger than Luka Doncic, and he's only what, like 5 months younger than Jason, or maybe even less.
Mhm.
So, we have all these expectations for Luka and Tatum to carry their teams and be superstars. I've got the same expectations for Shea to do that. If he's in the MVP conversations all year
Yes.
long, even though the rest of his team is young, it's time to step up and be a leader. So let's see how that goes. Scott, thank you for coming on the show again. You're welcome anytime throughout the NBA playoffs. I know it's late for you over there where you are in the world, because unlike me, who just functions without sleeping, I know you got to get some rest at some point. But
I don't know how you do.
the
I don't
time.
know how you do it, Mo.
Man,
Hey Mo, if I didn't know any better, I thought it was 9 in the morning. And you just woke up and you ready to go.
Man, a wise man told me I stay ready, so I ain't got to get ready.
Oh, I know who said that.
I hear that every day. I hear it
Exactly.
every day.
Yeah, I know who said that one.
Did you see the bingo card that we made? Did you see the bingo card of BJ's phrases?
Oh yes,
He
I
always said?
saw that online. All the different BJ sayings. And
Yeah, he doesn't know
what he
that
was
that
saying.
exists. So we want to see.
Oh, he doesn't know that exists.
No, I didn't
Oh,
send it
okay.
to him, and he doesn't use Instagram. So we're gonna
Okay.
see, and I want you to predict how many episodes it takes for the whole bingo card to get crossed off. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, check out the Hoop Genius Instagram page. I posted a BJ
Oh.
Armstrong bingo card with some of his favorite phrases.
You won't get through next week. It'll be filled up. Exactly. That's my prediction.
I thought
That's my final prediction today.
I thought tonight we'd get at least 6 of them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Mo.
Oh,
listen, Mo. The series doesn't begin until a team wins on the road. That's how the episode would have started if he was here today. So we'll see. We'll see. But Scott, appreciate you as always. If you guys enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. Stay with us. We've got breakdowns of every single NBA playoff matchup coming at you live and direct. And until next time, you guys know the vibes. Get buckets.